Welcome to another episode of Web3 Weekly. We've got a special episode for you today with our guest Clouted. Today, he'll be sharing how he went from studying computer science to launching his own DeFi project, which brings DeFi to meme coins in a unique and innovative way. Clouted has been in the crypto space for almost 8 years. He was inspired by his lecturer, who was a core Ethereum contributor and has been all in on crypto ever since. Stay tuned to hear all about it. Hey guys, welcome to our Web3 Weekly. We have a special guest today, Clouted. Clouted, would you like to give everyone a bit of a background and intro of your journey into crypto, where you started and where you are now, mate?
GM guys, definitely thanks for having me on the podcast. Really appreciate it. And quick intro on myself. So I guess I've been in the crypto space for coming up to 8 years now. How I got involved was I was studying computer science in university, and my lecturer at the time for my network security class was actually an Ethereum contributor, a very core Ethereum contributor. Yeah, and a bit off of university guidelines, he taught us blockchain technology.
Right, that's the best type of teachers. Best type of teachers. You know what I mean? Love
Definitely.
it.
And at the time, I was also working in a bank, so I was quite deep in the financial field, learning like about the economy and investing in the stock market and such. And when my lecturer taught us Bitcoin and then consequently Ethereum, both the technological side and the finance side made a lot of sense to me. And at that moment, I was just kind of all in on Ethereum and the potential for smart contracts. So I was kind of obsessed with it, actually. I think every single day since then, I've been either learning or doing or contributing or some form of exposure to this space. So that's the very high level of how I got involved, yeah.
Or tweeting, right?
Or tweeting. That's definitely, yeah, multiple times a day. Sometimes too many times a day.
It's actually funny. I think that's how most Australians find their way into Twitter, or now X, is actually through crypto. Like, I talk to a lot of my non-crypto mates. None of them have Twitter. And then if they're in crypto, they're like the only ones on Twitter, really.
Yeah, no, Twitter is definitely a niche. I think if you're not into politics or finance or crypto, you don't really find yourself on Twitter. And yeah, a lot of Australians only get into it due to crypto.
Yeah. I guess it's changing since like Elon Musk has taken over a bit. But yeah, years ago, I did not have like one friend on Twitter. And for crypto, it's the best place to get all your knowledge if you follow the right people as well.
Yeah, it's definitely the town square for the crypto community.
Yeah.
It's good though, right? I think even after adding the spaces, I think that just took off I think it brought the community a lot more closer because of the emotional side of it, I think, rather than just the tweeting.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So Clouded, let us all know about your MemFi project, mate. Well, I guess we'll start with, how did it come about?
Yeah, no, definitely. So a bit of context, I've been trying to build a DeFi protocol for some time now. Out of all the subsectors of crypto, I've always been the most fascinated by DeFi. I think it's the strongest PMF that crypto has ever had. It's truly the killer application, in my opinion. So everyone is always talking about like, what is the app that's going to get crypto mainstream and things like that. I'm actually in the camp that I think we've already found it. It is DeFi. The full circle coming of crypto is to completely disrupt and revolutionize finance in the world. And DeFi is exactly that. Obviously, there's still work to be done on the application layer and make it easier to use and onboard. But in terms of that's what I think is the biggest product market fit for this industry. And being obsessed with DeFi, I've just been trying to innovate in that space for close to 2 years now as a builder. Up until then, up until then, I was purely more of an investor, and I guess like you can even call it gambler or speculator. um,
Or
but
a player.
or if I, but yeah, for the last 2 years, I've actually spent quite a lot of time trying to build a DeFi protocol and learning so much doing it. I've hit many obstacles, and my initial protocol that I wanted to do was a new way of doing lending on Ethereum. I was exploring within the insured lending leverage space, and after I guess maybe close to a year and a half of constant like roadblocks and obstacles, um, we were kind of at the bottom of the bear market at that point, and I was extremely burnt out. And then I kind of decided to take a momentary break and go back to just being an investor and like clear my head a bit as a builder. And I've always been able to identify really good narratives in the space. So I was able to identify the ICO narrative, the DeFi narrative, of course, and then just most recently the NFTs narrative last cycle. And then a couple, maybe 6 months ago, doing some investment thesis research, I guess, I was kind of looking into the meme coin narrative as a whole. And I built a whole thesis around why I actually believe memes will do well this cycle, far before they started doing well. And I wrote a whole article on this thesis, and now fast forward 6 months, I think that this meme coin thesis is coming true. They've definitely outperformed in the last 6 months since the bottom of the bear compared to every other subsector of crypto. And so I'm very fortunate and happy and glad that I was able to correctly call and capitalize on the meme coin narrative. I do see it having further upside for many reasons that we can cover later in the podcast. But then coming back after a bit of a refreshing break as a builder and putting my builder hat back on, I decided to actually build into this narrative. And the natural evolution for any liquid market in both crypto and traditional finance is usually the introduction of credit and basic financial rails. So naturally, I decided to essentially build what is the MakerDAO for memes, and try and perpetuate the meme coin cycle using this, and build out the meme-fi narrative, which I then theorized would be a sub narrative of this meme coin narrative.
Yeah, me and Cozzy were actually talking about this yesterday, and I referred to it as the Maker DAO of memes. And yeah, I love it, mate. It's a great one, and it's sort of like when you look at it, well, everything in existence is well, really, when you look at money, it's all a belief in community system. Like if we all stop believing in, say, the Australian dollar tomorrow, well, it'd be blowing down the street like Venezuela. But that's where you grow that big change in movement. And I love seeing it in crypto, and memes are like that, but tenfold, because you get a good meme and you build the community and the involvement, and it's almost like the community just grow it itself. It gets to like a starting point, and then once it takes off, it's got exponential growth in it.
No, absolutely. I think, I mean, I've definitely gone quite deep in the philosophy of memes, and I think there is a lot there that doesn't meet the eye at the surface level. And I agree. I think that memes are almost they've somehow come to be the best embodiment of pure crypto. There's no external dependencies. There's no execution risk. There's all of these things that like come with like the core concepts that are very akin to even Bitcoin, for example, and yeah, like community, etc. So I do think that it's an interesting philosophical way of doing currency.
And you know what? I think just it's hearing to both of you, and I feel like somehow that even Bitcoin could be like a meme, because it started the GFC whole thing, right? And just like
Yeah.
taking the Mickey out of the current financial system,
system,
right?
Yeah.
Am I don't know, am I just I
Yeah.
don't know, making
There's
shit
there's
up.
two camps. There's two camps of people, I guess. There's people that
Yeah.
think like everything's a meme coin in that essence, and then there's people that will debate against that. So yeah.
Interesting.
But I agree with you because like really everything's a shit coin. It's just how much community and how much involvement and buy sell pressure have you got?
Yeah.
So and of course Bitcoin was just the first one, and the invention in it have that first mover of the market. And with Satoshi cutting all ties, as Cloud had said before, it's the epitome of what crypto is meant to be. And yeah, I noticed in the last cycle, we had a lot of VC investments, and then the VCs need to make their money, so you get a 2-3x, and they're dumping a lot of their stuff to get their money
2-3x
back. Well, that's what
you mean
Yeah.
2-3K.
yeah, but they dump,
Yeah.
they dump because they want to get their money back and move on to the next one. But yeah, so Clouded, how did the whole IMF start, mate? Like how did you, I know it's always good to get away from the building, and then you think of things that you weren't thinking of because you're not in the trenches, and you sort of look outside the box again. And that's when I have some of my best ideas. But when you come back into your building phase, or from your coming at the end of the investment stage, which it's never really the end,
Yeah.
how did IMF all start?
Yeah. So one of the DeFi builders that I was working with over the past 2 years, I guess we're very close, and I kind of came back to him 6 months later, and I did actually tell him to buy Pepe and all the memes at the Pico bottom. I was like, hey man, look, I've got this thesis. I think memes are gonna do great. He kind of like didn't give it any like realism, but just taking a bet on my personal like thesis, he just threw a couple $1,000s in there anyway, just purely left curving based off of my thoughts. And then obviously he made a lot of money buying at the bottoms, and I came back to him and I was like, hey man, we should build into memes. Like we should build DeFi of memes. And I think he was like, yeah, okay, let's do it. It was quite a different angle than the serious DeFi we were trying to innovate before. It became suddenly very unserious, but at the same time, the financial engineering is still very legitimate. It's as legitimate a DeFi protocol ever. It's just for assets that happen to be meme coins, right? And one day I pitched it to him. I was like, look, memes are doing great, man. And every narrative, every cycle, the natural evolution for everything has been to bring like DeFi rails to it. So NFTs had it. We had things like BendDAO and Arcade XYZ that allowed you to take loans against your NFTs. Obviously, that didn't end too well. I do think NFTs are slightly different assets to fungible tokens. But nonetheless, it deserves to be there. And I think a big ethos of crypto is to democratize finance, regardless of what kind of finance it is. We don't need these walled gardens or gated, like permissioned, like I guess even rules around which tokens should be able to access financial rails and which shouldn't. Like, so obviously MakerDAO or Aave is not going to go and list Pepe as a collateral because they do want to, they have like billions and billions in TVL. They can't risk any level of bad debt. But Pepe right now, and not to give any like specific disclaimers around Pepe at all, it's all non-financial advice, but Pepe has consistently hit more trading volume than I guess every single token except for maybe the top 5 tokens, consistently all year long. It is more liquid on OTC desks than basically every token except for the top 5 tokens. And it has outperformed every single token, including the top 5 tokens. Except for, obviously some very extreme low caps that pump. But in my opinion, this is an asset that very much qualifies for financial rails. So, even if Aave and MakerDAO are not going to go and list Pepe as collateral for you to take out loans against, which understandably so. That's a gap in the market. And that's something that we thought, it's not to play it down. It's still very hard to fill that gap and build any DeFi protocol, but we did. It's already been the overall roadmap of building a credit system, a CDP system, is built. So we didn't innovate anything too much, but we did build it very unique to the meme coin space. So we did have to analyze that memes are a bit different. They're much more volatile assets, much riskier. So we had to design our system specific to memes and its market participants. I can speak on this later, but definitely it just seemed like the natural thing to do. And we built it. We tried to fill that gap, and now we've launched, and hopefully, we can prove our meme fight thesis true.
Yeah. I mean, like, Pepe is the ultimate. I don't know where I'm sitting. Pepe is the ultimate meme. I've seen Pepe, very, very long time ago. And initially, when I saw the token, I'm like, oh, when it launched, I think I saw it like on the second or third day, and I'm like, oh, is it something that I want my wallet to be part of and all that stuff? And they're like, no, I'll just buy some. And yeah, I mean, like, look, Nathan here is like, when you say like, about the trading volumes, he's like fist pumping, like he's going like this,
Yeah.
yeah, he's going like, hey, yeah, you made it. So when you said like you had a banking background, and now you're like looking at a completely different type of banking system, from a centralized to a decentralized, right?
Yeah.
So you made that jump. And how was it like mentally doing that jump? Or were you like, you know what? Because my lecturer already paved that way. It was a seamless process, and you happen to have that really good lecturer. How would you think that when you talk to your banking friends, are they still like, oh, you know what? It's a no-go area, or are they looking at it, or are they thinking about it, or are they just like, you know what, we don't understand what this is, and it's all a Ponzi scheme? What is their take on it?
Yeah. So on myself, that jump was actually, for me, quite obvious and freeing. I think it comes down to your overall views on the world. And from the very beginning, like, I understood how the economy and money worked, working in a bank for a couple of years, and I wasn't at any stage happy with it. I understood that this is the world, but when I saw that there was an alternative, for me that was obvious. And I've always, as an individual, always been the type of person that would want to contribute to a better way of society, for more sovereign society, less permission society, more freedom. And I think DeFi like definitely did that on the finance side. So for me, that switch was super clear and easy and obvious. I would much rather be on the other side than on the traditional side. In terms of how do the rest of the banking industry, I mean, I've been quite disconnected, to be honest, not only from the banking industry, but just society as a whole. I'm so far deep down the rabbit hole. I am.
Yeah.
There's no coming back for me, unfortunately. But I don't know. I truly was thinking about this sometimes. I don't really know what the pulse of society is on crypto anymore. So I'm just hoping that there's obviously more adoption than previous, and I think there is, due to a lot of big financial giants getting into the space, like BlackRock and Fidelity and whatnot. So it should definitely change a lot of sentiment. But yeah, from back to like a very normal society, banker, finance people, back, like, I have no idea that sentiment, unfortunately.
I mean, like, that's a really good segue, to talk about. You mentioned, like, quite a big financial institutions are now getting involved with crypto. One of the things that I, posted this morning is like, I saw the news that Ethereum ETF got approved. And when the Bitcoin ETF got approved, I was talking to some of the TradFi people talking about like, oh, the upside and what it brings to the what made it like now the crypto is a little bit more than just a Ponzi scheme now for drug dealers and dark web and all that stuff. So it legitimized it. And then when I was talking to someone, and there's another person there in the click, and like, oh, what is an ETF? And I'm like, oh, that's a good question actually. So Clouded, if I ask you, and Ethereum got approved as well. That's the latest news in the last 24 hours. So it's pretty pumped. So what's your take? And first of all, before you go into that, because I know you love Ethereum, right? So before we go into that too much, I just want to find like if anyone asks you like what is an ETF, how would you explain that?
Yeah, no, definitely. ETFs are a tool that got introduced to the stock market to basically bring exposure to assets that aren't natural equities, I guess is the most left curve take. It stands for exchange traded fund. It's basically when, let's say, like, let's use gold as the perfect example. Gold doesn't naturally trade it's not born as an equity like a stock is for a company. A stock lists a company IPOs initially offers its equity as a stock option on the stock market, and it lives there. But an asset like gold or any other commodity, for example, like oil and other things, they don't exist naturally on the stock market, so they have to be wrapped almost in a way. And the way the traditional market does it is they have a fund that holds these assets in a very regulatory manner, and then provides people the ability to buy shares in that fund. And that's why it's an exchange traded fund. So it gives investors on the stock market exposure to assets that do not inherently live on the stock market. It's actually very similar to tokenization on blockchain. It is very, very pretty much the same concept, just in the traditional world. If you want to bring gold on chain, what do? You have a custodial like Tether or someone, and they hold the gold, and they issue a token against it, and you can trade that token. We have PaxG from Paxos that does that for gold, and Tether just released their new product. So tokenization and ETFs are essentially very similar concepts.
Are you looking to integrate your business systems with cutting-edge AI technology? Our expert team is here to help you use the power of AI to innovate, streamline, and enhance your current business operations. Contact us today at 1-800-870-200 or visit blockstars.com.au.
Awesome. That's the clearest experience I've ever heard. better than ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So what's your take on the whole ETF? Come on, don't hold back.
Yeah. No, look, these things were obvious. They were bound to happen. Like, it's just the natural progression. It was either now or later, or it should have been done before, if you ask me. But I do have a few takes. Obviously, I think I'm a very free market person. So believing in free markets and completely permissionless boundaries on assets, I think that if traditional finance, including companies like BlackRock and such, that maybe are not the best companies in terms of if your view on the world is to democratize finance, but still allowing them to access our infrastructure, buy our assets, use our assets, build with our assets, that is within the permissionless nature of our space. So I think absolutely they should do whatever they want to do. Crypto is very anti-fragile. I think that doesn't matter what anyone comes in and does with crypto, it will survive and continue on. So I think it was inevitable. I think ETFs are great because maybe it does open up to a specific sector of society that would not be able to invest otherwise, right? Including maybe major funds, retirement accounts, even your normal investor that doesn't want to open up a crypto exchange, but they have a stockbroker, and now that they can buy Bitcoin as an ETF or Ethereum as an ETF, they're happy to do so. So I think all exposure is net benefit for the space. Yeah, not too much of a take other than that. But it will pump my ETH bags, so I'm super happy for that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I heard that Michael was saying that ETFs are more like an API to the crypto world for the TradFi guys.
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy, man.
Isn't it?
Sailor has all of those analogies.
Oh my, he's a gun, I mean, like, good on him. So, I would like to now, I said, like, Charlie, just jump into the nitty gritty of IMF. I would like to know how that.
I would like Clouted to explain to someone who who may have not been into many DeFi, maybe they've bought some NFTs or had to play around on chain. If you could explain what IMF does and how people can participate.
Yeah, the nitty-gritty stuff.
Definitely. Yeah. I think the hardest part of DeFi is explaining it to people that don't understand finance, but I will do my best. So, I mean, IMF is a protocol that allows anyone who holds memes specifically to deposit their meme coins as collateral and take out a loan against them. So if I have, say, $1 million of Pepe, right now all I can do is sell that Pepe for ETH or stable coins and buy it back. That's about the most you can do with your Pepe token is buy and sell. Now, with the introduction of IMF, you're able to actually access liquidity against your Pepe. So you can deposit the Pepe into our smart contract, which is fully decentralized and very well audited and secure. And you can take out a loan against it. Our system mints a stable coin and gives it to you as debt. You can then use that stable coin for whatever you like. You can buy more memes. You can buy ETH, or you can even cash it out and live your life, or you can go buy that Lambo to impress that girl on Twitter. It's completely up to you. And you can get your Pepe back when you repay that debt. So that's the simple concept of it. Now, the financial engineering behind it is quite complex. I don't think people need to know how it works, but if you want me to get into some like high level stuff, I can.
Yeah. I would say let's go high level.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned about this stable coin, so I would like to know, okay, why is it stable? What is it, is it dollar for dollar, or what is that looks like? And high level.
Yeah. No, so it's not dollar for dollar. We actually we decided to design it uniquely for the meme coin market participants. So it's very purpose built. Our stablecoin is pegged to $6.90. And we did that because the IMF is very forward looking, and we did that because of inflation. So one
Good on you.
Yeah. So One Money, our stablecoin is called Money. One Money is pegged to $6.90, and it will always be able to be borrowed and repaid at $6.90. And essentially, that money gets minted when you deposit your Pepe, and you can only mint it at an over collateralized rate. So if you deposit $1 million of Pepe, you cannot mint more than, say, $690,000 worth of money. And that's the gist of it. We do have general, like with any loan, even like mortgages, property. Unfortunately, the traditional financial system is a bit of a Ponzi, and they don't actually revalue any assets that you take loans against. But as with any loan, we have LTVs, loan to value ratios, and if your asset price drops below a certain threshold, you do get liquidated on that, just to protect the bounds of the system. Our system is a very secure system. We ensure no bad debt. So that's to make sure that all participants and holders of money and every aspect of it doesn't have any systematic risk. I think after Luna, every DeFi builder, especially every stablecoin builder, is is doubly secure with the way they do things. So the high level is basically that. Money is pegged to $6.90 through two unique mechanisms, which I actually designed myself, which is the interest rate model and the way that it gets repaid. It's all open to free market arbitrage that helps keep that peg to $6.90. So as soon as the peg goes up from $6.90, because for whatever reason there's people buying money or whatnot, the interest rate drops very low and incentivizes more people to borrow. And because you borrow it at $6.90, you can borrow at $6.90 and sell at, say, $7 and make that profit instantly. And if the peg drops below $6.90, the inverse is true. It incentivizes people to buy it off the market and repay their debt, because you can buy it at $6.80 and repay your debt at $6.90, making instant profit that way. And the interest rate also spikes higher to incentivize people to repay their loans. So the supply of money is what dictates the peg, and the interest rate is directly correlated to how far off peg money is trading at on the free market. So the system works on its own, and it will work moving forward. It will probably outlive us if people still use the system.
Yeah. And then now, once people have got money, Clouded, I believe they can buy the IMF token with money.
Yeah, you can buy whatever you want with money.
Or they can stake to earn IMF tokens.
Yeah, so we do have two tokens in our model. So money is the stable coin that you can borrow against your memes and do whatever you want with it. And then our main protocol token is IMF. And IMF allows you to basically stake it and receive 100% of the protocol's rewards, which is all of the revenue it receives from interest payments on the debt. So if the protocol has, let's say, $10 million of outstanding money, that money, because it's all borrowed, is being paid interest on. And let's say like the interest rate is 10%, on $10 million, that will be $1 million a year. And that $1 million in rewards will go to the IMF stakers, so they can receive that protocol revenue. Yes.
Cool.
And that's that beauty of decentralization and DeFi, is actually the holders and the supporters
incentivized,
incentivized and earning those rewards rather than the bank taking it all.
That's it. That's all the democratization of DeFi, right? That's why I'm so happy about it, and I love this space, is because now anyone can get involved and be like and get part of a revenue of a system that they're bullish on simply by participating.
Yeah. So I'd like to touch base on, maybe, because I was following the Sydney ETH event. I forget exactly which one it was. It was like 3-4 months ago.
Yeah.
But you guys joining the hackathon and starting to build the IMF protocol. How was that, man?
Yeah, so I did not want to do the hackathon. This is ETH Global Sydney in 2020.
That's right.
That's the one. Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah. So I was actually extremely tired that week. It was a full-on conference week, and then it was the week before that I floated the idea of building into the meme coin narrative with my friends. So it was very recent, and then obviously him and a few others that I know very closely were there at ETH Global, and they were all like, dude, let's just start building this right now at the hackathon. And I didn't really want to join the hackathon, but I thought like it's going to be fun because it's a group of like people that I'm very close and friends with, and we're doing the thing that I wanted to do. So it made a lot of sense, and we said, fuck it, we'll join it. And we started the IMF at the hackathon. It was it was a very good experience. We were the only team at the hackathon that was building on mainnet Ethereum. Everyone else was building on L2s. Yeah, because they had grants to build on L2s, and everyone else was also building to use things like WorldCoin ID and all this other stuff. And we're the only ones. Yeah, because WorldCoin was paying $20,000 to someone who built the best system using their ID. So
scan my retina. Scan my retina. Pay me money. I'll give you anything.
So,
scary.
All the builders there were building towards incentives, and we didn't like qualify for any grants because we were building on mainnet and we were building a system that was just for memes. Like there's no grants whatsoever, and everyone we told, like, they come across to be like, what are you building, this and that, and we're like, oh yeah, we're building this thing, it's called the International Meme Fund, and it allows you to borrow money against your memes, and it's Ethereum. They literally looked at us like we're crazy.
Oh my god. I mean, like, look, you can always ask Vitalik, you know what I mean? I thought he's the one who get all the gas, isn't he? So You brought up a really good point, Clara. So at the moment, just a lot of people are talking about the L2s, and I think I heard about L3s as well, right? And whatever, right? Or go all the way to the top. The L1, as you know, like it's security and everything, it happened at L1. So what made you decide? How do you make the decision between go to L1 and L2? I know it might be again like it's perspective, right? Some people like, oh, it's like, oh, everything has to go on L2, the transactions and all those things like cheaper and all that. But you guys made a decision to go on L1. What was the main driver behind that?
And I'd like to add, there's no good memes on L2s that I know of.
Actually, think about that, isn't it?
Yeah, no, like you hit the nail on the head. For us, we didn't actually have too much of a choice. We have to build initially for the most liquid meme coins, and those exist on ETH L1. Like Pepe, Shib, Mog, these things exist on ETH L1, and these are the ones that have the market cap in the billions. There's no meme coin on any L2 that has a market cap close to $1 billion. And generally speaking, the liquidity profiles on L2s are still very low. So it made sense for us to just target L1 because our protocol at its essence is about unlocking liquidity against meme coins. And if the meme coin doesn't have any liquidity to unlock, then it's not really going to work. Exactly. So we have a specific customer, which is meme coin holders like whales that have decent amount of money. Anyone can use it, not to say no one can, people that aren't whales can use it, but generally speaking, it's usually for the more secure and like tested meme coins that have withstood some level of time and have some liquidity there to unlock.
Yeah. And I'd just like to touch base on that, Clouded, with the borrowing and the liquidity. So what's to say if someone has, say, $1 million in Pepe, and then they borrow, they lock it up to borrow money, and that Pepe goes to, say, 1.2 million, or it goes to the inverse of 800,000. What does that look like for a user? Because there is risks in DeFi protocols.
Yeah, no, definitely there is risks. So your collateral value dictates two things. It dictates how much you can borrow initially and also where your liquidation threshold is. Generally speaking, if you start with $1 million of Pepe, you can only borrow up to 69% of that value. And once again, we did some serious math to come up with these numbers. And basically that means you can only borrow $690,000 as a maximum. You also get liquidated at a threshold of 70%. So if you do that and Pepe price drops 1%, you actually lose your collateral. You get liquidated to forcefully pay off that debt so that we make sure there's no bad debt in the system. And this was carefully thought out. On a side note, the reason why our threshold is so high, usually with Ethereum, the thresholds are as low as 88%, maybe even 90% for liquidation. For us to do 70%, it's to protect against major volatility of price swings of up to 30%. And that's just because of the way meme coins usually swing up and down. We have to have that gap. So if your Pepe value does drop, it doesn't matter how much it drops. As long as it stays above the 70% of the value of the money that you borrowed, you should be fine. And obviously, if it goes up, that's great because your loan is much more healthy and you can also borrow more if you decide to. So that's basically how it works.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for that one, mate. Now, I'd like to get into the real serious stuff here, Clouded.
Yeah.
I've noticed the IMF, International Mem Fund, has been getting tagged by some really big financial profiles out there in the world, mate. And I'd love for you to explain that to everyone.
How do you build those?
I think it's genius, marvelous, and funny as hell at the same time.
Right. It must be so hard to build those relationships, right? With the people like the NATO and, how did you get into those areas, Mike? given that you guys are decentralized.
No, we definitely have been doing a lot of business development, and we've been talking to, nations of all sizes and governmental agencies. And it's amazing the type of interest that they've had in something like the IMF. Truly, like, our one of our best relationships is with the assistant of the president of Uzbekistan.
Yeah.
Actually, she threw a wonderful conference alongside us, and put out some great stuff on Twitter with us. So also had meetings with the Saudis, and truly from a non-product perspective, the IMF is doing amazing things out there, and I'm so glad, because it only just brings more focus back to our main driver, which is memes.
Yeah, that's exactly.
It's set up like so well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Are you planning to launch a blockchain project? At Blockstars, we specialize in developing blockchain projects from your initial idea to the final product. To launch your successful blockchain project, drop us an email to hello@blockstars.com.au. Clouded, this so you've been, you're like heavily involved in this one. What else do you do? I mean, like, you're an investor, you're a builder now, and I think the last time we spoke, you were like sort of advising to some, some other projects as well in the space, the Web3 space. Do you still do that, or is it something that you do out of passion, or what does it, what else do you do in the space?
Yeah, no, good question. What I do is I try my best. That's what I do every day. I no, um, no, yeah. Honestly, my main thing is investing. I try and trade the cycles to the best of my abilities. I identify narratives and put capital behind that. And I almost treat my own personal portfolio like I'm managing a fund. It's definitely nowhere near the size of a fund. Not to say that I have that type of capital at all, but I genuinely like that type of work. So I do, even on an extremely small scale of my own personal portfolio, I make investment theses, I bet accordingly, I manage risk and reward, and hedge, and things like that, and try and be really good at that. And that's something that's been the core, I guess, passion and focus of mine over almost a decade now. So that's something that even if I tried to not do, I would still do. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, other than other than the investing, yes, I would always be open to consulting and advisory on any project that I believe is either cool or innovative or beneficial to the space. I don't think I would necessarily put time and effort towards something that I think is like negative EV, or basically like maybe just like a fork of a fork that doesn't really bring anything new. But if there's anything even slightly interesting or beneficial, I'm more than happy to contribute and participate with, because overall I just have a passion for this space. I think I have done a lot over the years in my own capacity, as much as possible, to bring Ethereum forward, and to enable as many people to contribute to the best of their abilities as possible. So that's definitely something. But yeah, right now I think my core two things is trading the cycle correctly, and also building out the IMF. Moving forward, I think maybe after this bull run, or when, like, this cycle kind of feels slightly over, or we get into a more sustained bearish period after this, I think I might, pursue building another DeFi app of some sort, maybe a more serious one again that I wanted to do initially, maybe a consumer app, or maybe some sort of DeFi fund. I'm not sure, but I do think that, for better or worse, I don't think I can leave this space. Yeah.
And I think there's so much going on, right? I think, like, earlier you mentioned like different narratives, like different cycles. So where are we at in the current cycle, from your point of view? Because I mean, like, we started like sort of end of last year, beginning of the year, like, whoa, okay, we are in it, hold on. And then it just ran out of gas almost, right? I don't know. I felt like, oh, what's going on there? And then the meme just take off. And so where are we at the moment? Is it like the because of uncertainty as well? There's like US elections happening, and again, like there's quite a lot of drama there. Volatility, all that stuff is really, what do you call in Grand Prix when they say like when it rains, like that gives the underdog the opportunity, because then it just makes it like so volatile. Everyone got a chance, right? So there's
Mhm.
so much going on at the current in the world. So where do you see where we are currently, and do you think that we are in a bull market or bear market, or what is that?
Yeah. Well, that's a $1 trillion question. Um, no, you
One
put
point.
it very well, Kosi. I think you're right. When it rains, it gives the underdog the possibility of winning the opportunity. But where are we? My best guess, and once again, this is just
Hmm.
my like a non-financial
Of
opinion.
course.
I think I think we are in a bull run. I think we are in a different bull run because we are seeing some heavy institutional interest, and especially on majors that makes them trade differently. Like Bitcoin has never had the liquidity profile that it has now,
Yep.
and I think that is partially because maybe more than 70% of the trading volume on Bitcoin is fully institutional. And I don't think that was the same previous cycles. Um, I do think that um, we we have a lot of upside to the end of the year. I'm quite bullish on an election cycle year, and I think that from a macro perspective, I have quite an unpopular opinion on this one. Actually, I'll share it. I don't share this one too much,
Yep.
but I'm generally bullish until they start cutting rates. And a lot of people are actually bullish for rate cuts.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I remain bullish on the markets until they start cutting rates. I don't know how much I can explain as to why, but I think one rate cut is okay. But as soon as they start talking about a second rate cut, I think personally I might look to either hedge or de-risk or look for downside exposure because from a macro thesis, I do think that um, the way the macroeconomy is going and the way that policy is going, um, I actually remain that the markets are healthier right now with high interest rates than they will be when they start cutting. I think when they start cutting, they will be cutting not to they don't need to cut to bring stimulus to the market. They will need to cut to avoid some essential like recession or bad to give the market power to fight against like bad economic forces. And I think that's why I would be more hesitant when they start cutting. So personally, I'm still in the camp of risk on,
Yeah.
quite risk on, trade the cycle. Majors are going to do great. I think I think certain narratives are going to do great. I think DeFi is going to do wonderful this bull market because um, especially with Ethereum getting its ETF, there is this reflexive loop of institutions buying Ethereum, Ethereum's value going up, the liquidity in DeFi and the collateral values in DeFi increasing because of that, which
Mm.
means that more DeFi usage happens, more DeFi revenue happens, and naturally that becomes like a loop of like people use DeFi more revenue happens, Ethereum goes back up in price because what they usually do with DeFi is they purchase more Ethereum at the end of the day. And then that becomes more attention to Ethereum and people buy more of the ETF, et cetera, et cetera. So I think DeFi is the main trickle down effect of this ETF for Ethereum. Obviously the meme coin narrative I think is going to do great because of my thesis where market reflexivity kicks in. There's been too many projects that are VC backed and have been and VCs have brutally exploited retail in the past.
Yeah.
There's been teams that couldn't execute and have failed their holders, and there's been lack of transparency and trust has eroded from a lot of these like quote unquote legitimate projects with products that
Yeah.
are to execute sometimes wonderful things, but failing. So I think meme coins are a massive push in the reflexivity of that. Something that basically has zero execution risk, zero team risk, no VCs to dump on you. The supply and demand is very clear. So bullish on DeFi and memes. I think some maybe subsectors might pop off well, like maybe DePIN. I don't really have too much of a thesis of that. I think prediction markets are going to do amazing. I think prediction markets are probably going to be one of the more consumer-facing applications of crypto this cycle. I think decentralized social media is going to do great. Farcaster is wonderful. Shout out to Dan Romeo, the founder. He's doing a masterclass on how to build a non-financial crypto product, which it is still financial. I think all crypto products are inherently financial, but for the most part, it's not centered around finance. And I think Farcaster is going to do wonderful. I think decentralized social media has a massive spot in this world. So I think those two actually, prediction markets and decentralized social media, I think are going to be big this cycle alongside memes and DeFi. And then in terms of the bear market, I'm probably in the camp of yes, we're going to get another bear market. I don't think crypto is up only perpetually for the rest of eternity. Unfortunately, I would love it to be.
Bear markets are good, right? Otherwise, we can't enjoy the bull markets, right?
Yeah, bear markets are good. The best times in crypto for me, have ironically been in bear markets. So yeah, no, bear markets are good. But I do have one thesis for this upcoming bear, if we get it, is I actually think majors, specifically Bitcoin and Ethereum, probably do not dip as much as they traditionally do. I don't think we're going to get an 80% drawdown on Bitcoin and Ethereum anymore. I could be wrong. We definitely could, but I don't think we will. I think Bitcoin. Yeah, I think we're looking for like maybe a 50% drawdown at the maximum is going to be a full-blown bear market on those two majors. In terms of everything else, I'm not sure, but yeah, they very well likely probably get absolutely slaughtered like always. Yeah, that's my take on the markets in a whole. I don't know, that's quite convoluted thoughts all over the place, but yeah, that's basically my gist.
Yeah, and yeah, I fully agree with you, Clouded. I love what you said about Ethereum, and I also think, like, on top of that, in this cycle, obviously there's a lot of funds locked in DeFi, earning rewards, but then you've got proof of stake now, which encourages people to lock away. And then you've also got this will be the first bull market where Ethereum is in the deflationary mode since moving to proof of stake, which is, I've been interested in that in a while to see how that's all going to play out this cycle. And I'd love to get your thoughts on the gaming sector in crypto as well, because I know for years I've been waiting for half decent games to come out, and I feel that this bull run, a lot of actual decent playable games are coming out. We've got app stores now accepting crypto gaming. What's your thoughts on the crypto gaming sector, man?
I think gaming industry makes a lot of sense for crypto because of normally, like in games, there's in-game assets, right? And anywhere where there's assets, I think like tokenizing them and actually creating ownership behind those assets makes a lot of sense. All right. So people were selling skins on Fortnite and Counter-Strike for real dollars. Like crypto's PMF is already there. In terms of which games, or like, do I have a thesis around games, GameFi or decentralized gaming in general? Not quite. I haven't really paid too much attention. I did buy into the whole metaverse stuff. I still think that utopia metaverse view is pretty cool. But I don't know if it's going to be the breakout gaming thing of crypto. I don't know what the breakout gaming thing of crypto will look like actually. But my only take on the gaming side of things is that crypto does make a lot of sense for gaming. And I think that there is PMF there. Will it hit this cycle? Maybe, maybe not. I usually am a contrarian bettor. So the fact that there's a lot of attention on crypto gaming, at least from my exposure to Twitter and such, I would bet against it for now, because ironically, a lot of people are betting for it. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong on this one. I have a lot of friends in that space too, so like they're gonna not like me saying this. But
Well, I think I'm super bullish on Telegram, that tapping games.
Tone.
I think
The tone coin.
yeah. What is that's all about? Clouded. So Telegram, ton.
Telegram, I am pretty bullish on Telegram and Ton. I don't think it's I don't think architecturally speaking it's an amazing decentralized blockchain, but from a consumer adoption standpoint, it's really good. They have some really good privacy features. I actually know someone that has ran a legitimate business operation through Ton, enabling product sales to markets that weren't able to be serviced in any other way. So it's actually quite interesting. Yeah, I can't say too much about that,
Yeah.
but definitely I think Telegram is basically an app with like almost 100 million users or something, and now
That's
you
right.
slap
Yes.
then you slap a blockchain on into their chat. Like that's crazy. So
Yeah.
another interesting statistic is that I believe where did I read this? What's the Facebook messaging app? WhatsApp. WhatsApp is
Yes.
I think it was WhatsApp or WeChat. One of these two chat apps is like they do the most financial like transactions in a chat app, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's
tele-
WeChat. Because
WeChat.
WeChat use everything, like they're buying and selling and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
WeChat.
Once again, I'm totally disconnected from the Web2 world, but but like I think Telegram having like a blockchain now just disrupts that um flow of transactions through a chat app, and now it's done on chain, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think Ethereum should focus more on uh the communication side of things. Like we should have from the ecosystem an L2 that's purely built for like the next, like Signal tried to do it.
Yeah.
I think like those type of products should have more focus. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, we're coming up to the end of the podcast, Clouded. We'd just like to know, is there anyone out there that you'd love to give some love to, mate? Spread some flowers, give them a shout out before you go, buddy.
Definitely. I mean, there's a lot of people that I admire, respect, and look up to in this space. So there's probably so many to list. And if I do start listing them, I'll probably miss some. But in terms of IMF, I just want to give a shout out to my team. They've been great. I'm definitely not the best person to or easiest person to work with. So flowers to the rest of the IMF team. That truly none of the IMF protocol would have been possible without them. So I do want to shout them out, and they are on Twitter, and you can find them through the IMF account. And I really had a great time working with them. Also, one last note I will make as a general note is that whilst crypto is definitely an industry here that you can change your life for the better, and we're here to make money and invest wisely. I do want to just give a shout out to the audience that it's very important to keep in mind what we're really fighting for here, the true purpose of the space. It is for something greater than just profits. It is to contribute to a more financially sovereign future, a more democratic future, and better freedom. It is to fight against things like CBDCs. It is to fight against things like big governments and big corporations. Although we do like them to come in and use our permissionless technology, it's just very important to keep in mind that we should always have those core crypto principles at heart. So that's just the one last thing I want to leave on. So.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Clouded. Well, we will post your Twitter when we post this. We'll share your Twitter. We'll share IMF's Twitter and also the IMF Fastcaster as well, mate.
Yeah, no, appreciate it a lot. Blockstars is doing great. I wish you guys the best, and thank you so much for having me on again.
Thank you
All
for
good, mate.
coming on,
Hey,
buddy.
can I ask a question before we finish off? Are we
Yeah.
going to see IMF on Solana? All right. Yeah, we'll just leave it on that.
We'll
That
leave
laugh
on
was
that.
pretty good.
We'll leave on that one. We'll leave on that one.
Oh, see you, buddy. Catch him.